Welcome to the Highway Groupies food channel, where people who want to reduce sugar in their diet can find recipes, or for those who suffer from hypoglycemia. Today's recipe, our world-famous soft ice cream. We start off with about 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup of good quality vegetable oil. The quantities are approximate. You don't want to put in too much because it makes it kind of pudding-like. If you put in too little, then you lose texture and it really freezes hard in the freezer. Our next ingredient is ripe platano or plantain. It needs to be ripe black, just like you see it in the little picture on the left. And we're using one large platano, frozen platano, one large one. So frozen, we need to have everything frozen other than the liquids, of course, in order to make this into an ice cream. Next is zapote. If you don't have zapote where you live, then you just put in extra plantain. The plantain does tend to add a little bit of sharpness to it, so anyway, I think you'll enjoy it just the same. But zapote, very good, about half a cup of that. And I like putting in coconut milk. However, I don't have any coconut milk, so I'm using some sweet coconut meat here, ground up. When I say sweet, I don't mean sweetened. There's no sugar added, just sweet coconut meat. Now we're putting in just plain ice, and we're putting in small cubes, so I'm putting in 8 cubes. This helps to, really it helps to spread out the flavor. So, very important ingredient here. So 8 small ice cubes. And we need to add a little bit of salt. Salt helps to enhance the sweetness. So just a little bit of salt here. We need coffee substitute. Coffee substitute, this is not real coffee. This happens to be Crackus, but it could be any good brand. Make sure that it does not include sugar in the ingredients, because that would be counterproductive. The coffee actually adds sort of a chocolate-like flavor to it. If you put in about 2 teaspoons, then you wind up with a nice chocolatey flavor. 3 teaspoons, you wind up with about a dark chocolate flavor. So it depends on what your taste is like. I prefer 3 teaspoons. And we need our regular vanilla extract. So vanilla extract. And again, we're using 3 teaspoons of vanilla extract for this quantity. And that about does it for our ingredients, other than the liquid. Now the liquid we're going to use, today we're using half and half. It's half rice milk and half soya milk. Now you want to make sure that your rice milk and your soya milk, neither one of them should have any sugar added to them. You do not use regular milk because regular milk converts very quickly into sugar. So we use these substitutes. The soya milk adds a nice rich texture to it. When using with coffee, I like to have just plain soya milk rather than this rice milk. If I'm using a fruit to make a sherbet, then I really do prefer the rice milk over the soya milk. Now make sure that your soya milk is unsweetened, no sugar added, even if it says dried cane juice or whatever new terms are using for that. And we're using about a cup of liquid here. Okay, I'm doing it by eye, which sort of makes it a little bit different from one time to the next, but roughly 1 cup of liquid. Now I'm putting a terry towel around this. Terry towel is to help prevent heat from getting at our liquid here, because we are trying to make an ice cream, or at least at the very least a thick milkshake. Our soya milk is a little bit warm, so it may wind up more like a thick milkshake. Because it's hard to say with the liquid exactly what speed to put it at. Try a high speed. If that doesn't work, then try medium speed. You just sort of have to play with it. If it's very thick, if your ingredients are not as liquidy, well then you won't get that kind of circulation that you need. And you always wind up with a little bit of oil and stuff at the top after the first attempt, so you do need to go in there and mix it with a spoon a bit. And if it's really thick, then you're going to have to get rid of the air bubble that forms around the blade, which means that if it's thick, you're going to have to do this maybe 2 or 3 times before it is completely blended properly. So you just give it a bit of a stir, gets rid of the oil and the bit of coffee that was left at the top. Try it again. Because our soya milk was a little bit warm, it is giving us nice circulation here at a medium setting. So once that is completely blended, don't be afraid to give it a little bit extra time. It really helps to make it very homogeneous. And now our taste test to make sure that the proportion of our ingredients is good. And what do we have? Nice dark chocolate flavor to it. Again, as I mentioned, put in a little less coffee substitute and you get a lighter chocolate. We remove our insulation. We have a cup that we've kept in the freezer for this. And we pour ourselves, in this case, it turns out a very thick milkshake. Sometimes it comes out like soft ice cream. Depends on how cold your ingredients are. But whatever the case, it is delicious. So enjoy. Now if you freeze this, as I do, I like to freeze this. I take the extra that's left over, put it into molds. And here you see I've emptied out half of one of the molds onto a rice cracker. Also, a good rye toast is very good at this. Put on some nut butter. I'll give you the recipe for that in another program. Add this, whether it's thick or thin. I like mine thick. You may like yours thinner. You have an open face ice cream sandwich. Enjoy.